But as mom goes through the funnel, after several years of that she's getting bad care, you complain, they fire the staff, they hire new staff, it's the same problem over and over, it's on repeat, and mom continues to get bad care year after year. You at that point are ready to, one, pay more, right? You know that mom's care is worth the extra $1,000 a month. You will go to someplace that has a reputation for the best care in your area. What's up, guys? Welcome back to Assisted Living Investing. I want to share with you today about how to pick the right location. This is the core of your success, is being in the right spot, right? Because my niche is luxury and I can build a huge wait list. I can have 50 plus people that are signing up to join Platinum every single year, and I can charge the most in my entire area. And that is really because of this first question, right? Is the big question is, how do I find the right area? How do I know that the right population is there to be able to afford this? How do I know, even if people have income, higher income in this certain area, how do I know if there's enough seniors to be able to do this? So I've talked to a bunch of different people who kind of have a misconception or missing the mark a little bit on this. So I want to spend a little bit of time with you today talking about two different points that I think will really drive this home and clarify this point for you. So what my niche is I want to offer all the same care and amenities that the big smelly facility can have, right? That is my service side. I also want to have the same type of high quality product. We're building new construction, 16 beds, 17 bath mansions, about 10,000 square feet. Everyone's got their own private room, private bathroom, chef, salon, all of that kind of stuff, right? So I can confidently say to the power of attorney, usually the daughter, there's no reason for you to be at the big smelly facility, right? You should come to my custom built mansion because I can do everything they can do. So I want to come from that perspective. And I think it is best to, instead of reinventing the wheel as far as like, what is my pricing? I want to match the highest comp in my market. Who is near me that has the same type of product to me? They have a new luxury product and they also offer the same type of care and amenities that I have. And then I'll say, okay, what are they at, right? Are they at $10,000 a month? Okay, then that's what my pricing is gonna be. So I think that's really the best place to start, is what are my competition doing? I don't really wanna go out into a place where there's no one doing a product that I wanna do. I don't wanna be the only person who has a luxury product and everyone else has $3,500 a month, $4,500 a month. It wouldn't make sense for me to come in, build this huge luxury mansion and do, $8,000, $9,000, $10,000 a month when everyone else is half that price. So I want to come and say, okay, here's what my product is. Here's what my niche is. I know my physical product. I know my service, right? Those two things are my product. Now I want to match and I want to find that area where I can be comfortable in the numbers, have a great profit. I really like to be over $100,000 a month. Really, if you have 16 beds, that's only $6,250 a month. If I can be above $6,250, then I can have a manager who runs the show for me. I can make at least $30,000 a month and I can have my time freedom, my financial freedom. That's really my goal. I think that's a great line in the sand. So if you can find a market where there are comps, where you have the same type of physical product and the same type of service, and they are above that number, I think this is a good place to start to dig into and investigate further. So I like to use the term the big box funnel because I actually think of it like a funnel. Like you have at the top of the funnel, you have these big box facilities and they're usually like 4 stories high. And they have the third and fourth floor are all independent living, right? They're renting apartments there. And then maybe the second floor or maybe the first is assisted living. They might have like 60 beds for a licensed assisted living. And then they also have another little lockdown wing on the first floor off to the side, and it's usually kind of scary and gross. And it's either like 16 or 20 beds for their memory care unit, right? And I think of it like a funnel. You're going to go in, you're going to, have some type of problem, you need extra care, and maybe not even very much. You're gonna go and you're gonna live on the top floor, right? And you're gonna take care of yourself, you have your car, you're gonna go do your own activities, you're going down to the, little restaurant or cafeteria, you can meet your girlfriends and all that kind of stuff, right? You're, young 80s. And then potentially you have some type of issue. You have more medications, maybe you become incontinent or can't walk anymore, you're in a wheelchair now, and perhaps you need to go down the funnel, right? Now you're in the assisted living side. but you're not really end of life yet. You just need additional care with some of these ADLs. Okay, you've gone through the first phase of the funnel into assisted living, and then perhaps you're there for a couple years. Maybe you're starting getting into your late 80s and you have a bigger problem now. Something else happens, whether it's on the physical side or it's on the mental side, right? Like we're talking memory care or dementia. And you need more care. You maybe get closer to end of life. You have a bigger problem to solve and you continue to move down the funnel to perhaps the end of life side. Maybe it's on the assisted living side, or perhaps you're on the memory care side if you are starting to have some type of dementia. So that's really what I call the funnel, right? I want to be around all of my competition because my competition is literally feeding me. I am the bottom of the funnel. My niche is end of life care. I'm going to really be the last stop. As my grandmas and grandpas have declined, they're not going from their house to platinum, right? They're not coming from home to me. I'm not seeing them when they are 77 years old. I'm seeing them at like 82 to about 100, right? That's when they are coming into me, when there is a bigger problem to solve. But I've identified my niche. I know what that is, right? We are luxury and we are end of life. I'm solving a bigger problem. I am therefore charging a higher price. That's what my niche is. So from that perspective, you should know what your niche is. But consider this, if you are at the top of the funnel, right, independent living, there's a lot more options out there. There are lots of places where you can be 55 plus and rent an apartment. That's not really solving a huge problem. I think it is better to be at the bottom of the funnel, and therefore you would want to be next to all your competition. I do not think it's a problem to be next to all the other big smelly facilities. I think it's a huge advantage, especially for my niche. If I'm going to pick a right location, I'm going to pick next to the expensive new construction 4-story big smelly facility. That's where I want to be. I want to be within 5 or 10 minutes of them, right? Because those are my feeders. All of those grandmas and grandpas that are in that facility will come to me. Those are literally all of my residents come from them, right? It is hospice, it's home health, it's the doctors, it's the nurses that travel from facility to rehab to independent living. They are the ones who know who has the worst care in your city and who has the best care. And every time that mom or dad declines and they need more care, they have to adjust the care plan. They meet with the POA, usually the daughter, and they say, hey, you know what? Here's mom's situation. She declined. She needs more care. She needs this or that. So I think we should look at another place. And you know what? I don't think you should move down to the first floor in that lockdown memory care. It's pretty disgusting down there, right? Like go over to Platinum. This is what we hear every single, like 3 new leads a week, comes into our management team from a situation just like this. So it is super important that I think you should be close to all of these competitions because they are your feeders. This is where you are going to get most of your leads from. They're not coming from home most of the time, depending on your niche. If you are end of life care like I am, then they are probably going to come from another assisted living that has higher ADLs or, perhaps independent living. And that's why I think it's best to be next to them. So to hit on this point a little further, as you are saying, okay, here are the facilities next to me, and I want to compare apples to apples. I want to see, product and service so I can figure out what my price point is. Because I see a lot of people make a mistake on this part of it. They'll come in and they'll say, okay, well, I want to do a 16 and I'm not this huge facility, so therefore I'm a small assisted living. Let me look at all the small assisted livings and not look at the big assisted livings as far as pricing. And I think that's a huge mistake. Do not compare what your pricing is going to be if you're going to create or build or buy an assisted living. Don't compare on the number of beds. I don't think that's the best way to do it. That's really not relevant. Compare it from this perspective, your product versus your competition's product. From your customer's perspective, they don't necessarily care if it's 60 beds or 16. They're looking at, is it the same type of physical product and the same type of service? You have 2 parts to your product. So let's break this down, because I think that if you're going to compare for the sake of pricing, you need to know what your apples to apples are. And that is your physical product. So for me, that is a new construction luxury product. I have all private rooms. I have a private bath. I have a huge great room. I have a chef. I have a salon. I have every single thing that you would want in the big facility, I can do that, right? My rooms are about 330 square feet. They're good size rooms. So I have a new luxury physical product, okay? I'm only going to be comparing to who has a new luxury physical product. And those old, outdated assisted livings, no, that's not my comps. Those are not apples to apples. The smaller 6-bed assisted livings where they converted the garage, no, not even close. That is not even close to what my physical product is. So I'm throwing all those things out. I will still consider them, but I need to know that I'm going to be superior to them in pricing because my physical product is better. So that's one side of this. The second side is, what is my service? For me, my service is end-of-life care. I can have all the amenities that you can get at a big facility. We have the doctor that comes in, we have home health, we have hospice, we have a nurse, we have a barber, we have a chef. We have everything that you can get as far as medical care and needs. I can do it in my 16-bed mansion. So, and my niche is end-of-life care and memory care, and that is clearly more expensive than not. So the further you go down this funnel, the more care that you provide, the bigger the problem is, the bigger the cost is, or the higher the cost is. So look at it from both those perspectives. If you find someone who has a new luxury product, right, the actual physical building and the rooms, and they also provide the same level of care as you, if you're end-of-life care, they do that, they do memory care, they do dementia. They're not going to be turning you away if your loved one is a wanderer. They have locks on the doors, magnet locks, and they can really handle that bigger level of problem. That's what I am. It's clearly more expensive. There's more labor, there's more issues to do those things. So therefore the price is higher. So really for me, I find the best competition as far as pricing, apples to apples, is actually that big smelly facility, right? The one with the 4 stories. I'm not talking about the 150 beds that they have for independent, and I'm really not talking about the 60 beds that they have for assisted living. I'm talking about that 20 beds that they have on the bottom floor that is licensed for memory care. That is the same comp for me, right? They have a new product and they have all the service that I have, right? End-of-life care and memory care. So I think that is really what I'm looking at as I'm going through and doing comps. I will look, well, I'll call, right? I'll do secret shopping on these big facilities, and I specifically want to know, I don't really care what the independent pricing is. I'll consider what the assisted living price is, but I really want to know, what is that end-of-life care price? And a lot of times they may be a la carte. It's like, here's your base price plus X and Y and Z. Well, you know what? Tell me what's the highest it gets, right? Like ultimately my grandmas and grandpas, they're going to be with me to the end of life. They're going to die at Platinum in our assisted living, right? And so therefore, like, if it was the competition, if they were going to die at the other one, what's the highest it would get, right? That's the number that I want to know. So that leads me into the second thing that I want to talk about. How far is too far from these big facilities, right? If I say, hey, it is best case scenario, if you are right next to all of your competition, and right next to me in like 5 or 10 minutes. If you're 5 or 10 minutes away, I think that is the most ideal. But how far can you be away? Because a lot of times these big facilities, they're on the major thoroughfares or highways. They have this commercial zone land and it's super expensive. And if you were going to be 5 or 10 minutes away from them, you might have, very limited choices on opportunities for land or a building. And those opportunities may be really expensive. So the next question is, well, how far can I get away and still pull those customers in? How far will the family or the power of attorney, the daughter, how far will she drive to come visit mom? So that's a case-by-case answer that will be different for every different city. But let me give you a principle that will help you understand it and make it real for your situation. Because think of it this way. If you have the same type of product as me, right? It's end-of-life care, it's memory care. That means that your customers have already gone through that big box funnel. Mom started at home and she was fine, and then she needed a little more care. She went to the independent side and she lived there for a little bit of time, and then she had some type of thing happen. Maybe she went now to the assisted living side and she was there for a certain season of life, and then something happened again, right? And now she's ready to move into end of life care. So she's been in the big box funnel for several years. And that means that the family, the POA, the daughter, whomever's in charge of their care has seen the system. They know what it's like. They know the care that you get from the big smelly facilities. They know that they can't talk to a manager because they don't know who the manager is. They seem to turn every 6 months. There's a new director. Nobody knows who their mom is. Nobody knows what mom likes or what she was like before, she started becoming nonverbal or losing her memory. So the daughter or the power of attorney, they are sick of the system. They know that the options that are out there are not great options. So consider it from this perspective. When you first move your loved one, mom, into a facility, usually you want to be close, right? This is your first time into it. You're shocked at how much it costs. You're thinking, oh my gosh, it's $5,000 to $10,000 a month for this type of care. So your priorities at that point are, let's keep mom close. I want her to be 10, 15 minutes away at the closest. And you know what? I probably don't want to spend the most money because I don't know how much time mom has left. She may have a lot of years left. But as mom goes through the funnel, after several years of that she's getting bad care, you complain, they fire the staff, they hire new staff, it's the same problem over and over, it's on repeat, and mom continues to get bad care year after year. You at that point are ready to, one, pay more, right? You know that mom's care is worth the extra $1,000 a month. You will go to someplace that has a reputation for the best care in your area. And two, you will drive a little farther. You don't need to be 5 to 10 minutes away from your house. If mom's care is the most important to you, you will for sure drive 20 minutes. Depending on your location, you might drive 45 minutes. We have families at Platinum. I would say most of them live within about 15 minutes of us, but there are plenty who are 30 or 45 minutes away, and they drive past a lot of other assisted livings to get to us because they know that mom's care is the most important. If you do legitimately provide the best care in your area, people will drive for that. So if you're looking for land and you think, okay, well, all of my competition, they're in this part of the city, right? They're next to all the people. And that part of the city is super expensive and there's just not very much opportunity as far as land or a property to purchase. Should I go to the outskirts of the city? Is it worth it for people to drive, get off the freeway and drive an extra 5 or 10 minutes? And I would say that it for sure depends on your niche. If you have a niche like I'm talking about, where you are more end-of-life care, where your customer has gone through the big box funnel, then I would say, yeah, you could definitely be a little further out. I would not be out in the country, right? You don't want to be like 20 minutes down some dirt road. That's definitely a no-go. But if you're still on the outskirts of the city, 5 or 10 minutes away from the freeway, for sure, I would definitely consider that. But I would still be on the more expensive side of town, right? Outside of the expensive part is good. Outside of the lower income part is not good. Again, I know what my product is. My product's luxury. So people who have money, they are only gonna consider nice and fancy places, right? If you have money, you're gonna buy a Range Rover that you're only gonna consider, a luxury SUV. You're not gonna be looking at a RAV4. That's just not what you do. It's the same thing, right? You are only gonna look at the fancy assisted livings that have a private room and a full bath for mom, right? Like if you are that niche, then consider that. Where are the areas? It can be a little bit further away, but it's still in the good part of town. Well, that's what I got for you today. I hope this has been helpful for you. And I have one ask. If this is something that makes a difference, if this is helping you along your entrepreneurial journey, I ask that you share it with someone else. There are a lot of people who want to get in this space and there are not the education, there's not the options out there to show them, here's how to do a life-changing deal. So I hope that this will get you to a place where you can quit your job, have financial freedom and time freedom, and I would ask that you share that same opportunity with someone else.